Right, Privyet comrades, Steve Kom here. I'll warn you right off the bat that I was drinking and partying all night, so my accent's gonna be a little stronger than usual. I'm sober now, well, a little tipsy, but mostly sober now, so no worries there. Um, the reason why I was drinking is what I want to talk about in this video. It's because of work. Um, Kind of a long story, so I want to update you guys from the beginning. Basically, how it first started is that I put in a request to get March 3rd through March 12th off of work. I would work the 2nd, and I would come back in on the 13th. I'd work then, and so on, so on. I just asked for those days together there, and my request was approved. They didn't say it was approved until the first, so very very close, which was really stressful, and because like this doctor is very famous, and you have to wait months to get seen. So, I put in the request in December, so you give a few months there. And then I went to talk to risk management, which is basically who you got to talk to if you're going to be off any more than 3 days. Kind of, doctor's notes, explain what you can and can't do after you come back if you need to be on light duty. Basically, just make sure you're okay before you start work and before you leave work. So I went and talked to them. I filled out a bunch of paperwork and talked to them. They asked, when I started, what days I was taking off, what day the physical surgery was, and what day I'd be back in work. Simple stuff. I filled out all that, and I asked them, just to be sure, on the 13th I can start light duty, right? And they said, yeah, that'd be no problem, of course. Just make sure your doctor fills out the form saying you need to be on light duty. I was like, yeah, sure. So my doctor does end up filling out the form before I even take time off. And February is when she fills it out. And my work acts a little weird with that. The form says, may return to work on light duty once off pain medication, and can come off of light duty and work full requirements April 15th. So they have the set date there. And so it's really confusing. My supervisor comes to me, he's like, I thought you were only taking off until the 12th. Why does it say that you're going to be off until April 15th, like a whole nother month? And I was like, I'm not. I'm not going to be off until April 15th. That's when light duty ends. He's like, oh, okay. And he walked off, and that seemed really weird, but okay. So I go and get the surgery done, spent all that time, all that fun stuff, and I get back to work. And my schedule's, well, first what happens is that I go to the meeting room, which is where you go before your shift starts, kind of set you up, like what happened today with the patients, so on and so forth, so you don't just walk in and get hit or something, you know what to expect. So I went in that, and the people there were really confused to see me, and someone said, what are you doing here? You're not supposed to be back until April 15th. So again, they had this April 15th as the day I'm supposed to come back, which, clearly wasn't. Because I actually saw the form, it wasn't the day, it was very clearly spelled out. And I said, oh no, I come back today, April 15th is just when I end my light duty. And they're like, oh, okay. And they're just, okay. So again, it was kind of weird, but I'm like, okay. When I go into the work, I have to stay in the office all the time, but because light duty. And I do a bunch of paperwork, I do all this fun stuff, everything else. It's not too much work, but I can check my my hours, how much time I have left in vacation time, etc., etc. And I look there, and they have me using all my vacation time, sick time, everything else up until the 20th. They have me coming back on the 21st of March, which is again a whole nother date. So it went from 13th of March to 15th of April to 21st of March. They clearly don't know what they're doing. So we try for a few weeks before we finally get them to change it back. Say, like, I started work on the 13th. Like, I don't want to be using my sick time then because I am here and I want to save that, my hours for when I'm actually sick. And I want to save my vacation time for A-Fest, the cons I always go to. So, like, I need, that back. So it finally got fixed, and it got fixed officially Thursday. Yeah, I got fixed officially Wednesday. It got fixed Wednesday. And so it was fixed. Well, I get a call today. First I want to say that the paperwork my doctor filled out about what I can and can't do, everything else, she faxed it over to the work, which is why they had the information early on. And so risk management already had it, and they said I wouldn't need to do anything else because they had the paperwork already. So it was great. So I started back on the 15th, and then they called me on, let me see what date it is. Okay. They called me on the 22nd, which was yesterday, and said, so we were made aware that you've been working, that you've come back to work. And I was like, oh, yeah, I've been back since the 13th. And first of all, they called me like really, really early. I don't go to bed until about 7:30 when I don't have work the next day, like 7:30 a.m. And I had yesterday off, so I didn't go to bed till then. And they called me at about 9 o'clock in the morning. So I got like an hour or two maybe. I was like exhausted. So I was like, yeah, sure. Like, I'm so out of it because I'm tired, and they say, well, there was a form you needed to sign to start back. It's basically a job description for light duty, and you sign it basically saying you agree you are doing that job now, which seems a little weird, but I guess covering their butts, I don't know, maybe for files, okay. And I was like, oh, well, I'm off today, and I live an hour away from work. Is there any way I can do it on maybe Monday when I come, because they're closed on weekends? And they said, you could, but then you wouldn't be able to work the weekend. You'd have to take the whole weekend off because you have to have this done before you can start work. You should have had it done before you started work, which I wasn't told about. My supervisor didn't say anything. Like, none of this was a thing that was done. So I was kind of mad about that. So they say you have to come out today. So I get ready. I have to put on my whole uniform and everything to even get in the building. So I'm like all dressed up. I got my contacts and everything else. I'm walking out to my car. And then I get another phone call from them. And the phone call says that they had an issue with the paperwork for me because the doctor said, I can start light duty when off pain meds. They didn't give an exact date. And so that's why they said that's not going to work. They need an exact date on it. Which, again, I've been back for a long time, and they've had this paperwork since February, so if they had an issue with it, they could have said something back then, But, pretty much that. So they said they're going to have to call my doctor and talk to her, and until it's done, I can't work again. Like, I can't go back on the campus whatsoever. So I was like, do you even want me to fill out the form now? And they said, no, we don't want you on campus at all until this form is fixed. So I was like, okay. But they're going to call my doctor that day, they said. So I was like, okay. Sure, I really honestly don't see how that's an issue, but, whatever. Like, that's what they said, so sure. So then I'm like, well, I'm already dressed in my uniform. What do I do? I mean, like, I'm still thinking maybe they'll call the doctor and, like, maybe an hour or so I'll come back to work, like, I'll come down to work or something. So I'm like, okay. So I kind of stay in my uniform, sitting around. About 10 minutes later, they call back, and they say, what date did you start working here? And I was like, I'm just thinking, like, can they not find my file? Because, I'm like, they clearly were reading from the paperwork in front of them, so I'm not sure what's going on. So I was like, October 1st. And they said, so you don't qualify for light duty. You have to be in here 6 months before you can qualify for light duty. And you won't reach 6 months until April 1st. Meaning we cannot put you on light duty until April 1st. And since you have to be on light duty after surgery, you may not work again until April 1st. You are not allowed on campus whatsoever. You cannot work until April 1st. Now, I used pretty much all my vacation time already, all but like one day. So I'm not going to be getting paid to have all this time off. And for me, even missing like a day of work can be difference between making rent and not making rent. So it's a big deal there. So I'm taking all this time off and not getting paid for it. And I'm like, what is going on, Like, so you can't come back until then. And also, like, I've been back since the 13th. So it's like they waited way too long for this. Like, they had my schedule before I even left. The schedules are visible for them after I came back as well. I called into, like, the main office to let them know I was back and everything else when I came back from surgery. Like, I did a whole bunch of stuff. Like, it was clear I was back, and they waited until then. And my supervisor texted me. He says, "Hey, call work and ask to speak with risk management. They wanted to talk to you." And I said, "Oh, I already talked to him on the phone." He said, "Oh, so what did they say?" And at the time, they hadn't done the third call yet. So I typed out the whole thing about my doctor needing the note and everything else. And then after the third call, I said, well, they just called again, and they told me I'm not allowed to work until the 1st. Told me I'm not qualified for light duty until the 1st, and so I can't work until then. And he responds with WTF, which is, for someone who's really professional normally, that's hilarious, because he's like, you've clearly been working, Well, I have been working. I'm off my pain meds. I still am a little hurt sitting up and standing up, things like that. Sitting down and standing up. But I'm pretty much fine. Like, today I went out and drinking. So, like, I'm fine. I can't be, like, wrestling people. Like, I clearly can't be regular duty. I can't be, like, restraining patients if need be or anything like that. But I can clearly do desk work, I have been doing desk work for all those days, So I was like, so they said since I'm not 6 months, I can't do it. And he's just like, he says, again, WTF, that's stupid. And he said, sigh, okay, I'll let you know if something changes. Which means he's gonna try to fight for let me go back. But if it's a set rule, then he's not gonna be able to change anything. But also, it's like, I've been working, which means if it's a set rule, then the place already broke their own rule by letting me be there for so long. Like, it was 20 days? No, doesn't sound right. 10 days? 9? It's about, like, 8 days, which, isn't horrible, but, like, again, I was working those, like, 8 days or whatever, 8, 9 days, I don't know my math, but, I was working those days, so it's like, like I do. They would have caught it early on, you would think. And fixing my schedule, at one point with all the hours and stuff, we called every single day, and she would never be in the office. It would go to voicemail. We'd leave emails. Like, we were trying every single day to fix this, and it was actually messed up before I left. And my boss was like, "Don't worry, I've emailed her. It's all going to be worked out." And I was like, "Okay, cool." And then I was gone for 10 days, so I was gone for a long time. And I come back, and I'm like, "Well, it's going to be fixed, now." And I check it, and it's not fixed. And so then after that, we call every single day to try to get this fixed, and more emails, everything else. And doing it finally gets fixed. Next day I work, and then the next day, this happens. So it's like they didn't know I was back for some reason, because I guess the paperwork said according to my schedule, I wasn't back. Which is weird, because, I clearly was back. And also, I don't even know where they would have gotten the 21st from, because I kind of get the April 15th thing, because that was the light duty ending, all that stuff, but, like, I have no idea where the 21st came from of March. Like, I don't know. But so basically, the story is now, guys, I can't work until the 1st. So I don't know what I'm going to do. I guess make more videos throughout the days and such. But I really don't have anything to do. I haven't really been off of work in, I haven't been off of work this long in like forever. I'm gonna be off work longer than I even was for my surgery, so this is really weird for me. Um, I've never been off work this long, and even when I had my first job, like I've never had any job where I'm off this long, so it's kind of crazy. So I don't know what I'm gonna do with all that. But tonight I went drinking because I was like, I am so fed up with this. It's back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. I can't do this. I need a drink. And I found a gay bar. It was about an hour from my house, but I brought a friend and we had a blast. It was an amazing place. Highly, highly recommend it. It was RMC, Rainbow Members Club, over in Longview. Amazing place. Super cool. I got hit on a lot. Um, Great place though. I loved it. Everything else, drinks pretty expensive, but the glass was like 99% shot, like a little bit of soda. Like they made it really strong. So it was worth it in the end. A lot of fun. There was karaoke. There was a drag show. Everything else. It was great. Um, so yeah, I was feeling better. Everything else, and then I got home and I was like, oh, I need to wash my clothes for work tomorrow. And then it just kind of like dawned on me. I was like, well, shit, I don't need to wash my clothes for work tomorrow because I don't have work tomorrow. I don't have work for a long time. What are you doing, Remy? My cat's licking my knee. What are you do? Um, so I don't know. I don't know. I just wanted to kind of complain to you guys. This is really stupid and seems very unprofessional. Like I understand if the point is, I have to be there 6 months. If that's the rule, that's the rule. But you should have told me that before I even left because this wasn't an emergency surgery. I could have rescheduled for the next month. Like, I easily could have scheduled it for April, and so I could come back when I'm done. Like, it would be no issue. The doctor actually had a few spots open in April as well, so like I could have pushed it back if I had known this would happen. But they didn't tell me that, and so I was like, ooh, I want the earliest date possible then, because it was a surgery I wanted. It wasn't one that was like medically required, so like I could have waited if I knew. Uh, so that is just so many balls were dropped when they first did it. And then the fact that they didn't realize I came back, and then my schedule was messed up for my time off. Then they said my doctor's note had an issue, even though the fact that it clearly specified. Like honestly, may start light duty when off pain meds. Like, well, we don't know what day you stop pain meds. And it's like, okay, but that's a very general thing. A doctor wouldn't want to say, you may start work back on this date, because if you don't feel good enough to go to work, you may want extra days off, and you don't want to get like a whole new doctor's note or something, especially since it was turned in February before the surgery even happened. So it's a very common thing for them to put. So then there was that issue, and then the issue with the calling today. I didn't know about that form, and the fact they called 3 times, like all this could have been one call. And it was it's crazy. I really don't even know how else to describe this. This place is even my supervisors, was like WTF. Like I don't know, guys. I don't know what I'm gonna do. I took advantage and put my piercings in because if I'm gonna be off, might as well wear my piercings since I never get to wear them. Got these cool ones in. What if you guys remember those? I haven't worn them in years. Got my little lip ones and little spiky nose. This one is a black light one, so that's why it was really cool at the bar. When is that considered a club as opposed to a bar? I think it was Rainbow Members Club, so I guess that'd be a club. I don't know the difference between the two are. I guess bar is when there's no dancing. I don't know. But I call them all the same thing. So I don't know. I haven't drank in like 8 months, so my body was surprisingly, I didn't feel like almost anything from drinking. I could still walk straight, anything else. And I drank a lot. Like, I'll admit that. A lot of vodka, a lot of whiskey. Like, whew. Um, I was, I waited about hour and a half, 2 hours before driving home. And I had a bunch of water with me. I had no issues driving. Um, got my friend home, everything else. Got myself home. Once I got home, I started feeling really nauseous. I never threw up though, so yay. So my body had no issues whatsoever with the drinking. It tasted good, everything else. Until I got home, then it was like, oh shite. But so I had a fun day, but I also got like maybe an hour of sleep today because I had a whole bunch of stuff to do. My apartment also had an issue. They keep losing my paperwork and billing me for not having paperwork in the system. Like, first they lost my lease and tried to bill me for overstaying my lease. And it's like, no, I renewed the lease. Like, I renewed the lease like 2 months ago. No, I renewed it back in December. And they were saying this about like a week ago. Like, no, it's been renewed a long time ago. And then recently they tried to bill me for not having renter's insurance. I'm like, I have renter's insurance. I've given them the physical copy of both renter's insurance and my lease. I've signed them on their website, like the online thing. I've reminded them I had it on the file. And then I brought them another copy, which I had to do today, because it's like, yes, I live here. Stop billing me. You know, like, I'm here. Don't rent out my apartment or something, because I'm clearly living here. You know? Oh, jeez. And I also found out my rent went up. I'm not going to fight it too much because I'm already so angry at them. It went up an extra $18, which isn't horrible, but the paperwork said it'd be the same price when I signed the lease. So I could fight them on that. Basically, the $18 is a late fee for not turning my lease on time. Because every day the rent starts going up if you want to renew it until about a week, then it's full price. Because my rent's like, it was like 3 times. Now, I was paying about $580 rent, and after utilities was like $640. I never paid more than $640. And if you want to rent the apartment now, it's like $1,500. So like, I was locked in on a good deal. But I was charged $770, and then the next month I was charged $700. Because apparently the extra $70 was annual fees, which again I was never told about whatsoever. I had a lot of issues. I had to borrow money from people. Like, I did not have enough money to pay $770 because I had saved $680. Because it was $640 for the rent at most. It's usually between $6 and $640. And I saved an extra $40 in case of emergencies. Well, I didn't have enough for rent. So that was an emergency. And then the next month, I was like, okay, maybe those crazy fees were just because it's the first month, which a lot of it, I said like $70 was annual fee. It didn't specify that on the bill. There's one of those things like, if I don't turn it in, I get billed more. So I'm like, I'm just going to pay it, and maybe I can get the money back or something. So the next one comes by at $700, which is still a lot more than I'm used to. And I'm like, what's going on? Basically it was what the month before would have been if they didn't have the extra $70 in annual fees. So it's like, I don't understand what this $700 is coming from. So I talked to them about that, and they say, oh, there's an extra $18 added to your account per month for rent, which still doesn't add to $700, so I have no idea where they got that number. But at this point, they were like, okay, that's the explanation, okay, bye, and whatever. And I'm just like, whatever, I have a lot of fucking work to do. It was still like 8 in the morning, because I'm like, by that point it was about 9:30, 10 o'clock, and I'm like, I've been doing all this shit with work, which I'll just turn on my forms, whatever, I'm leaving. I had to go to a pet store, I had to go to Walmart, I had to do a bunch of stuff. Walmart, I put my prescription refill request in at 8 a.m. and it said it'd be ready by 2 p.m. I was sitting there waiting at Walmart from 2 to 4 o'clock. They didn't have it ready until 4 p.m. It was crazy. It wasn't even that busy. But it was just a chaotic day. It's been a horrible day. But the bar was so much fun, it kind of made up for everything. So it's like, but the fact that I feel sick now doesn't make up for anything. At least I know I can go to bed. I don't have to worry about waking up early and, being sick at work or anything. I can stay up as late as I want. I don't know, guys. It's been a crazy, crazy time. I don't even know what I'm going to title this video. It's just been chaotic. Life update. I don't know. Guess I'll be making more videos for you guys because I don't have anything else to do. I wish I knew I wouldn't have been able to go to work until the 1st. Because then I could have scheduled a trip to, like, visit family or visit my partner or, visit my friends. Like, I could schedule a trip out of town or something, but now it's too late to get plane tickets, I mean, you can't get last minute plane tickets, but they're like 3 times as much, I'm sure. So, yeah, that's what I'm going through right now. Any advice, kind words, anything like that, it's very helpful. I don't know what I'm gonna do. Maybe play video games. I really have nothing else to do, and I don't want to go out and be like party a bunch too because I'm not gonna get paid this whole time. So I need money for rent. I need to save every last penny I have, which I don't know how that's gonna work. My friend paid tonight for all this stuff for me, so that's why I was able to do all this, which I'm very grateful for. But it's been crappy. I'm still in a bit of pain from surgery, but pushing through. I don't even know, you guys. I guess I'm gonna end this here. I'm out of it from stress and from being tired and from still being kind of tipsy. So if I don't make any sense in this, I'm sorry. It sounded like it made sense to me at the time. That should make sense. Anyway, so yeah, TF Calm signing off.